Houston, good morning. Harris County, good morning. To the great state of Texas, good morning. To the United States of America, welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host, of course. Good morning to every nook and cranny receiving the signal from our 100,000 watt transmitter. And good morning to those on the internet throughout the world, to those listening to KPFT, listen to Politics Done right now. We are going to have a great show for you today. I trust that you had a good weekend. I had a great weekend, a good, workful, solid weekend. How are you doing? Anyway, before we get any further into this, of course, I want to say good morning to the geniuses in El Estudio. Good morning, geniuses. How are you doing this morning?
100,000 watts across Texas, 100,000 watts reaching into Louisiana. It's KPOT Houston, your blowtorch of the Southwest. How's that?
I love it, man. I love it. And the voice, and the voice, and the
The
voice.
radio announcer voice.
There you go, my
Yeah,
man. There you go. How's it
sometimes I have
going?
to
How was
use
your
that.
weekend?
It was good. Uh,
Good.
did relatively nothing, which is my
Uh-huh.
favorite thing to do. I did
Hey.
go to the benefit for the local songwriters. Went
Uh-huh.
over to Tom Tranchilla put this thing together, along with the
Nice.
writers, whatever they call themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
it was fun. There's a lot of local artists there, local songwriters, and that was Saturday. Shot some video, talked to some folks, and just generally had a good time. And then came back and watched all the video that I shot. So,
Great. Well, that's a lot of work sometimes watching all that you did because it's like, then how do you put it together? How do you cut it up? All that good stuff. Because I
oh, I
know you
already,
probably took a
yeah.
lot.
Well, no, I didn't take. Let's see, one the longest segment's like 18 minutes. There's a lot of
Oh, okay.
5 minute segments in there because I just took one song from some of the
Uh-huh.
artists. Matt
Uh-huh.
Harlan was there, one of our famous local artists, and some of the other ones. It was a good outing. Had a good
Ni-
time.
Nice, nice, nice. They had some good food out there.
Oh yeah. Of course, it was pretty costly, but it was pretty good.
Oh, okay.
But,
Okay.
but everything's expensive these days.
No kidding. No kidding.
Isn't it?
I go to the grocery store and it's like, wow, did this really cost that?
Oh, I did that too. And I could go into a rant. I went to one of the large stores, a lot of large chain stores that starts with a W.
Mm-hmm.
They did not have any cashiers there. It's all self-serve.
Wow.
And there was a gentleman behind me just raising hell about this, saying they expect us to do all the work. They charge us all this extra money, and there's no cashiers. I said, brother, you're singing to the choir.
Yeah. But it's amazing. They're automated and the prices are going up. It's a big, remember what we spoke about on Friday? It's a
Oh
corporate
yeah.
greed rate. The corporate greed
Oh,
rate. The corporate greed rate.
absolutely.
CGI,
There you
Corporate
go.
Greed Index.
There
Yes.
you
No,
go.
Jack has some wisdom that he has worked on for us today,
All
and
right, I can't
we
wait.
need to hear some wisdom.
Well, I'm just going to tell you why we're fighting these wars we're in right now. My real reason I see behind it. So, we have to stop businessmen from taking us to war. War for profit should be abolished. The genocide in Gaza is about big oil. The proxy war in Ukraine is to make the Russian economy tank so America can close off the border with China. What do
Well,
you think about that?
Oh,
I
you
think
nailed
that you're
it.
probably accurate,
Yeah.
because if you look at it, they're buying all the munitions. I mean, what was it, $4,000 bombs or with
You're
the
being kind. It's $8,000 for those bombs. I mean, I we did a piece of on that, and I couldn't believe it. $8,000 for something that I think they said costs like $300-400 or something like that. So, and
Mhm.
don't quote me on the $300-400, but it was a very small amount of money for the bombs relative to what they're getting per bomb, and
Oh
that
yeah.
we're buying it in bulk, you know?
And then they're using taxpayer money to fuel all these companies. They're on corporate welfare,
Oh,
basically.
amazing. And
Yeah.
but I tell you what, the first story that I'm going to be covering today, brothers, that is why we need to talk about this particular story that we're going to talk about. So it's a very important story. I want you guys to really, those of you that have your ears to the radio or the ears to the internet stream, however you're listening to us, we have a very, very important topic that I want to go over, and because and it's going to build up on what Brother Jack had to say about the war machine, what Eisenhower spoke about not get controlled or taken over by the war industrial complex, which we already have been taken over
Mhm.
by the war industrial complex. So we're going to talk
Hey,
about that. And
bro,
yes, sir.
before we get to all that, remember we're in pledge drive.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I got to work in a pitch here. 713-526-573 is the number to call to make your donation to KPFT. If you find that Egberto tells the truth, and he does, if you find this program valuable, please donate to it. 713-526-5738, extension 1. And that's about all I got to add for that. Then we can get to the show.
Yeah.
Uh,
And well,
also our food drive is
Oh,
not
yeah.
going too well. You know, we have a food drive going on for the Manna Food Bank, and you can bring your donation up to KPFT Studios at 4504 Caroline,
That's it.
and drop it off. I'll put a box out there, and you can just come up and put it in the box out front. And
Cool.
if
yeah.
you want to ring in, and we'll show you the studio
Yeah, where the magic takes place, where Jack keeps us on the air.
where the geniuses live.
Where
We
the
still hadn't
geniuses
that
live,
part.
and you get to meet the two geniuses, and maybe three, who knows. But folks, one of the reasons I said I want to get started though with, look, folks, stick around, don't leave. I know a lot of people, when they're here, we're in fun drive, they take off, but we got a lot to talk about. But before we start with the article that I want to go over with you this morning, I want to jump on top of what Howard had to say, and that is, we are in fact fun drive, and we want to ask you to contribute early so we can talk more about the stuff you really want to hear. And how can you contribute? You can go to 713-526-5738. This is the last week of the fund drive. I think we're going to try to end it on Thursday if we can get to that magical $150,000 mark. I want to tell you guys, we are at about $121,000 thus far. I have to do my part, which is $400 every single session, but there are several sessions that I didn't make the $400. So we want to ask you to help us recover that. I want you to call 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. Let them know that you want to give a contribution in the name of Politics Done Right. It'll shoot up right here on the screen. I will get the opportunity to thank you if you want to be thanked, or to just say quiet thank you without a name, or any way you want. I generally like to call out your name, but if you don't want your name called out, we don't either. So give us a call, 713-526-5738. Please consider, and if you're just joining us, folks, we're going to start the program with some real stuff in a minute, but I need to do this pitch to try to get you to call early before we really get into this. 713-526-5738. The T-shirt, the Politics Done Right T-shirt with the great with the great KPFT inside of the O. It's a nice looking T-shirt, all black. I think you're gonna love it. Uh, just good. That's $100 contribution. You don't have to do it all at once. You can do it over time. We are pushing sustainers really right now, and the reason sustainers mean, you'd say, I'm going to give you $5 a month. That's a coffee a month, and forget about it. We're going to give you $10 a month, two coffees a month, and forget about it. You won't feel that compared to all the other things that you spend on. This is a minute amount in the aggregate, in general, compared to everything else that you do, and the payoff is huge. With the subject we're going to cover today, I'm going to tell you how huge that payoff really is. 713 526-5738, extension number 1 to contribute, extension number 2 to be on air. And I want to hear from you as well. I want you to hit extension 1. I also want you to hit extension 2 so I can hear your voice, so I can listen to you. We're going to get started pretty soon with the program, but I understand that the general manager is in thus far, so I'm going to let him say his piece, and then we'll start with the subject, a very important subject. So, buenos días, señor Sandy, ¿cómo estás?
Hey, good morning, Egberto. Happy Monday morning to all our KPFT listeners out there, and welcome. Good news. It's the final Monday of the Winter Bankathon here at KPFT. I want to thank everybody that has pledged to date and congratulate all the weekend listeners and programmers for a very good weekend that has put us in position to make our overall goal of 150,000 by Thursday evening. We are currently, with all the pledges that are not yet included from yesterday's mayhem, we're well north of 122,000, plus some lanyap that is in my back pocket I'm waiting on. So we have, for the next 4 days, about another $23,000 to raise, a very doable number for the KPFT audience. And in reaching that number, I hope after 4 days, KPFT will be whole, fully funded, able to pay its bills, as we've been doing, all of our bills, as we have been doing until we hit the month of May, when we will be back in a fund drive. How long that drive lasts? Well, in part, that depends on you in the next 4 days. We're looking for those sustainers. Sustainers reduce the amount of time we take to get to a goal. We started this drive with, not quite, but almost $20,000 to the total when we began on February 8th, couple of 3 weeks back now. And again, we're taking this whole thing down Thursday. So on this Monday morning, on this Politics Done Right, let's just hit our goal of $400, and we'll keep moving along toward the overall goal. Call 713-526-5738, option 1, or go to kpft.org and click the donate button. And remember, as I am remembering very solidly right now, for a $120 pledge, you can get some coffee beans and a coffee cup and help you wake up on Monday mornings and every other morning to drinking like a DJ, that Lola Savannah coffee, Colombian Supremo blend, and of course the Caroline Street mug that comes with it for a $120 pledge. Egberto, good morning. And what you got for us today?
Today we're going to talk about that big layoff at Vice, the Vice News. Great organization of young people giving you mostly young people providing the news, enlightening a group of folks who generally don't like news, but of course run by the same kind of folk that we have running companies that care very little about their employees. But well, here we go. Katie Way wrote an article in Hell Gate, and this covers this big layoff that they're going to have, right? And it starts, and she said, I worked at Vice for roughly 3.5 years, from September 2019 until February 2023, which is 3 years longer than I expected to be there. By the time I arrived, the company was notorious for layoffs dressed up as reorganizations, and the axe dangled above our heads was palpable the entire time I worked there. I spent the last 8 or so months that I worked at Vice heavily involved in the union's organizing committee, which meant I spent a lot of time talking to my coworkers about why we didn't have any explicative money at various times. There was no money to pay cast and crew on time, or money to reimburse full-time employees for expenses they accrued while reporting, or money to pay subscriptions to other publications, or for tools like transcription services, FOIA submissions, or LexisNexis or working laptops. We stopped printing our magazine because we stopped paying our printers. Our video teams had to scramble to rent gear because overdue bills made the company name all but worthless at most equipment rental facilities we used in Brooklyn. We stopped using Slack, and all of us who are activists know Slack is like the tool of choice for organizing. We stopped using Slack because Vice stopped paying for it. Snacks disappeared from the mostly vacant office, except for coffee and an inexplicable, believe me, amount of milk. Meanwhile, a steady stream of editorial layoffs chugged on while Vice lost other employees, including eventually me, to gigs that didn't involve begging a company allegedly worth millions of dollars for the basic resources required to do our jobs. I watched three different friends get laid off, one days after giving birth, another while they were in the process of finding out whether they had cancer, one and the third while they were in the middle of cancer treatment. Last November, I watched my ex get laid off along with almost everyone else left on the tiny team that comprised Vice.com. And those of you who listen to this news you know what Vice.com gave you good news from a very good perspective when we were both on vacation the day before his childhood friend's wedding. The HR representative who conducted my exit interview 3 months later revealed they were on their way out too, and that the cash flow issues extended far beyond editorial. Every department was bleeding workers. And I end that's a preamble to the document, but I want to expand on that. Look, and I'm going to be a bit I'm going to talk about it in the context of what we do here at KPFT and the news portion that we do, like what we do here at Politics Done Right or at U Talk or any of our or Nuestra Palabra or any of our different programs that talk or speak about the news, etc. When you listen to a story like this, Vice.com is a website where you get good, solid news, a lot of it by younger folks, so it has a young perspective. When you look at that website, when you look at the reporters who are out there throughout the country, there are about over 3,000 people work there. Not only reporters, photographers, all these different people that make up an entire news organization. These guys, that organization made enough money to pay its people if it wanted to. That organization was taken over for all practical purposes by vulture capitalists. Okay? In other words, they talk about capitalizing that company, and at one point they claimed that company was worth $5.7 billion. I don't know where the hell they got that number from, but I know that when you have companies like that that really don't have assets to speak about, that the value that they provide is in the news that they give you, right? That their value is the workers, that nothing else. It's the reporters that are out there on the beat. That's the value of that company. It is not like an oil company that has rigs and has solid pieces of things that if that business goes under, you can sell it off and see what you can get as the value out of that company. The news organization, a real news organization, its values are its people and what they do for you. Now, what we have allowed vulture capitalists to do, and somebody told me to stop calling it vulture capitalists, and they gave me another word. I think it was you, Jack. I don't remember what the word was that you gave me. I think it started with a V as well.
Vampire capitalism.
Vampire capitalism. Vampire capitalism. What these guys do is they look at any entity like a news organization, and then they say, we can chop that up into chunks, sell it to a whole bunch of people, and while I remain sitting my butt down, I can make $1. And that's what they did with Vice. That's what they did with Register. That's what they did with all these great companies with people power out there bringing you the news, out there telling you the truth. So what do they do now? They have all these people now that they can't make the amount of money to feed the vampires, right? In other words, if I am running a news organization and I make X amount of dollars, only Y amount of dollars get to pay the employees, right? All the rest has to go for what again? Shareholder value, humongous executive pay, and we're going to go over that in a minute, and much more. So when you capitalize that company, meaning chunk it up into a bunch of stocks, sell that stock to a whole bunch of people, that stock can only maintain its value if there is a semblance that the people who bought that stock is going to get something known as dividend, or dividend plus capital gains, which mean the price of the stock just goes up just because. But remember what I said, the only value of a news organization really is what again? It's people. And as I remember, we don't sell people anymore. We can't buy and sell people anymore in this country. So the reality is the news comes and these people want to get monies not commensurate with what news costs. And that's what's bringing down every time you hear all these layoffs in the media industry. The newspapers are being bought by vampire capitalists as well. And that's why we're not getting the news appropriately. Organizations like KPFT, under the auspices of Politics Done Right, we depend on the few great reporters out there who can be in Russia, who can be in Palestine, who can be in Israel, who can be in Gaza, and then expand on those very few good reporters out there to tell the story. But even that is becoming an impossibility because, again, the way our vampire capitalist system works, it prevents all of this from occurring. And that's why when you can get the expansion of the news, the expansion of good opinion, I'm coming to you in a minute, Harry, of good opinion from a station like KPFT, that is a value. That is a value. When we ask, why aren't people informed? Well, Vice is disappearing. You know what? I'm going to go into the the money part of Vice that you guys should understand, because it doesn't only apply to Vice, it at many times apply to your job as well. But we're going to go there. But we are in Fund Drive as well. I'm going to finish this in a minute, but I need to go to our brother Harry, who's been waiting on the line, and then we'll pick up after that. But remember where we're at. This is important. Come on in, Harry.
Good morning, economic law professor. I want to say I messed that up. El Professor Roberto Willis. I get nervous sometimes when I talk on here, and then when you get nervous, you make gaffes. And I try to keep myself calm so I don't get nervous, so I can get out what I have to say. Roberto, you're absolutely right. I hope those truth tellers of the media provide surface somewhere so they can tell the truth at another media company. It's really sad that those vampire capitalists are just for the people at the top in those companies, so the shareholders make all the money. And then they just, and as you always say on this program, they keep the money in fewer and fewer hands, and they squeeze the employees. And it's really sad that happened. And I feel sorry for your friends because they like to get the truth out and inform people. But anyway, I was going to say I did mail my on Friday. I did a money order. I mailed my pledge in to KPFT. Now that goes to 419 Levitt, right? I just want to make sure that is correct.
Oh, we moved. We're now on Caroline, but I hope it will be transferred. Sandy, we have a transfer on that from the Levitt address, correct? Or Jack, whoever is in the studio.
Hey, Alberto. We can hope the post office gets that, but it's been more than a year since we moved and started operating into Caroline. So it may come back, because if you go over to 419 Levitt, the physical address, you'll find a fence and an empty lot. The building
Okay,
was
so will it get forwarded
demoed,
to your
and I don't believe they've started construction on whatever project they bought the lot and the land for as of this time. So if it does come back, well, you know what to do. And if it does get forwarded by the U.S. Post Office, so much the better. I
Yeah,
didn't say it at the beginning, but we're not
yeah.
at zero this morning, Egberto, because a little bit after midnight, William Gray dropped a few bucks on KPFT. We so appreciate that midnight pledge supporting the Brainstorm, George Shea's musical program, Wild Musical Ride. So hopefully we'll get there by the U.S. mail. Go ahead, Egberto.
Thank you. Yeah. So anyway, the new address has changed, Harry. So when you get off the phone, in case that donation comes back, Jack will have the address to give to you when we're done here. Anything else you want to say real quickly before I continue the story?
Yeah, the other we have to keep KPFT going, because where are you going to hear stuff when you hear about Malcolm X's security team, Khalid Ayad and Walter Bowe, Khalid Ayad. When I was listening on Monoxy now last week, he was studying to be an electric engineer, and Boxy and J. Edgar Hoover. They stole his life from him because they said that and I had learned about this some years ago about them wanting to blow up the Statue of Liberty and other monuments. And that's why you have to keep KPFT going. And I remember telling you this last year, Roberto, because we have the same birthday on May 18th, and we were talking about Malcolm X's birthday the next day. And I told you I talked to my aunt that somebody on my mother's side married into Malcolm X's family. I did talk to her, and she couldn't find out exactly who it was on my mother's side, but they did marry in Reynolds, Georgia. She did tell me that.
Well, thank you very much for that, Miss. I'm going to start calling you Mr. X related, okay? And with all positivity. But anyway, look, I got to continue with the story, Harry. I thank you kindly for the
Okay.
contribution
And
that you.
Howard,
All right.
hello to Howard, and hello to Jack, and hopefully that will, and hello to Sandy. That pledge will get forwarded. If it does come back, then I'll remail it again to the Caroline Street.
Right, but I tell you what, just for the future, go ahead when we're done here. Get Jack to give you the new address. Okay. Thank you very much, my brother. Appreciate you.
I'll call at the end of the show and get that from Jack.
All right. Thank you, brother. All right. Anyway, folks, so we're continuing the story. Remember now, so all the layoffs have occurred. Remember what I also told you, that the value of any news organization is its people. The value right here at KPFT are its people. Yeah, we have a building, we have the transmitter, etc., but the value are what the people that are there to provide. Okay, so it's not easy to capitalize value. So they create all kind of financial structures to make you believe you're buying something that you're not. That's how our system works, right? Why do you think Amazon is worth several $100 billion? Is it really worth that? Well, if it stopped operating today and you sold off all its asset, it doesn't come close to what the number of stocks outstanding are. And this is what people have to understand. We live on a gamble. That's why you can look on any given day and see the stock market go way up or go down or whatever. Nothing changed between hour one and hour two, but the value of stocks change. I mean, how different is that from a gamble? And they try to give you reasons why the EBITDA of the company is X, or the value before taxes and they give you all kind of fancy stuff to confuse you into believing you're purchasing something of value. The only thing that has value in any corporation is its physical assets and the value that you as a human being provide. Now we continue. As it turns out, while all the bills at Vice went unpaid, there was one particular bill that always was paid, and that is the leadership. The leadership got an inordinate amount of money. If you take a look at what they made, the average employee made, I don't know, maybe they made $60,000 average. I didn't say the median, I said the average. But when you have the big shots in the company making hundreds of thousands of dollars, the manager making $800,000, and their payments always go through, you have to ask yourself why. The executives took lavish bonuses, and an article that came out later said Vice ran out of money for everyone except executives. And let me tell you what the executives paid look like. For instance, the company's chief operating officer, Corey Hake, who came to Vice by way of MIC, took home $726,000. And they got a $45,000 bonus for a company that was purported to be in fiscal danger. Their day after Juneteenth, the People's Day after Juneteenth, Daisy Auger Dominguez, the chief people officer, made $748,000 with a $99,000 bonus. And of course, they got paid. While they were laying people off, we have the chief marketing officer, Najda Belan White, made $834,931, which included a $128,700 bonus. Wow! They got paid. They couldn't afford to keep Slack running or any other tool at the newsroom running. They couldn't pay the bills of the people that they say go out in Timbuktu and tell us the story. What's happening in Georgia, in Athens, Georgia, at the mountain? Report that. Let people understand what's going on. If you submit your bills and you can't pay, they can't pay you. But somehow the stockholders got theirs and the executives got theirs. We'll continue after speaking to Margaret. Come on in, Margaret.
I have a short little thing I need to read right quick because I get nervous when I talk.
No problem.
Vouchers are another word for privatization. When something is privatized, it is controlled and owned by one person or group. When you privatize any part of the government, we the people lose a part of our government, which means we the people have no say in how government works. Stop privatization of our government by learning all about the people who you are voting for or what you are voting for. Be an informed voter and go vote while you still can. Thank you.
Margaret, thank you so kindly. And also, thank you for the efficiency of a very powerful message by writing it out. Thank you so kindly for that, Margaret. And you nailed it. Privatization of, look, I want to make one thing clear. I have nothing against the private sector. I have nothing against capitalism in where it belongs. Nothing against it. All right? Nothing against it. But there are certain things where it shouldn't be. If delivering the news for you is for profit, then how can that news be for you? I repeat, if delivering the news is for profit, how can that news be for you? And the encapsulation of what Margaret just said says it all. If you are paying, if we let's put it this way, KPFT doesn't get paid by a few for what we do. We get paid by the all. And when I say we, I mean our expenses, because I don't get paid. Our expenses get paid because of all of you. Who are the people that we serve? All of you. Also, because we look at every single one of you out there. Every single one of you with your ears to KPFT right now, with your eyes on KPFT on the videos that we're doing at our Facebook page, facebook.com/KPFT Houston, at youtube.tv, or rather at politicsdoneright.tv. We look at you either as the people that are supporting us or the people that will possibly support us, will likely support us. So our news makes sure and be for you. So I ask you right now, before I get to Johnny, to call 713-526-5738, extension number 1. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Folks, while we had a small donation at midnight, Politics Done Right, it's at 0. It's a donut. So I ask you so kindly to let's support an institution, a program that is there to inform you. 713-526-5738. We definitely cannot do this without you. We definitely are here to serve you. Unlike many of your monies that you're spending with organizations where, look, I don't have a problem with CNN. I don't have a problem. In fact, CNN have good reporters that we use as the raw material to tell our stories. I love these guys. But ultimately speaking, their loyalty can never be for you. By definition, that's why Zoloft and Benlysta and all these name brand drugs are repeated over and over on these programs. But we know what the ultimate results of many of these things are, but they can't really spend a whole lot of time telling you that, because that's who pay their bills. You know who pay our bills? You do. But we really need you to pay the bills to be informed appropriately. So I ask you kindly one more time. Good morning, Paul Fleming. Good morning, Eric Hayes on the chat. I ask you one more time. And by the way, Paul is in Atlanta, Georgia. Eric is in Atascocita, Kingwood. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. And by the way, Eric got one of those have coffee with Egberto, so we'll be doing that this week. 713-526-5738. And by the way, you want coffee with Egberto? Please, that's a $250 contribution. Hey, it goes directly to the station, not to me, to the station. And it does so much more to get us to that $150,000 that we have to get to. So please go ahead and support something that really should be supported. Look, you're going to not be hearing this stuff after Thursday. So can we finish? And look, if we finish it up early, I can slow down as well. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. I ask you kindly to call in now, please. 713-526-5738. Make sure that we get that funds. You've never given before? Hey, $5 a month, $10 a month. Great thing. 2 coffees a month. You can do that, right? Get her a t-shirt, $100. Coffee with Egberto, $250. And again, all of these are tokens of appreciation, because what you give does so much more than any gift we could possibly afford to give you. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Good morning to the mayor of Politics Done Right, the one and only Johnny. Good morning, Johnny. How are you doing?
Good morning, my brother from another mother.
Yes, sir.
That would be, I would say, if I was in that, I'm in the $60 to $90 a year range of donations. But trust me, if I could afford to buy a $60,000 pickup truck like a lot of my neighbors can, that $250 would be chump change. That would be money well spent towards KPFT, and to have an audience with my brother from another mother. I would highly recommend that. For anyone who's doubting, who has been listening to KPFT all this time and has never contributed, please wake up, because a lot of your neighbors won't or can't. So if you can, please do it. So to dovetail what you were just talking about just moments ago, you know what I find very frustrating and angering and troubling is the fact that not only can these vampires, these bloodsuckers, do these things that they do behind closed doors, they are brazen enough to advertise on TV what they're doing. For example, education. As you and I both know, the Republicans have put our educational system on life support. It's in the ICU right now, and part of the reason why they were successful in doing that is because they have been successful at attacking education, undermining it, underfunding it, micromanaging it, putting out all kinds of propaganda for years and decades about unions and teachers and academic research and academia as something that's to be laughed at or belittled. And so when they advertise, TV advertising for a school, a charter school, that's unthinkable. When you realize that they have money to advertise, but why is it before they started doing this, we were having trouble paying for books and teachers? But now there's money for advertising and there's money for CEO packages and parachutes and stuff. If we had enough American citizens who were engaged and willing to think in nuance, that stuff would not have flown. It would not have flown, and we would not be where we are. We are in serious trouble, folks. Serious trouble.
Let me tell you, Johnny, the majority of the emails that I get is from people who say similar things. It's like, why didn't I know this? A lot of times that whenever we talk about economics here, whenever we talk about politics in the realm of education and economic systems, whenever we talk about that, I would get email that say things like, my God, that stuff wasn't all that difficult, and why don't we know it? And the answer that I always give is, you weren't. They don't want you to know this, and the reason they don't want you to know this is because the people in our economy that make the most are the people that do the least. It's the people who learn in business school that they can make a piece of the action of absolutely everybody and make it seem like it is okay. Let me tell you what I find ironic. Well, let me digress a minute here and ask people to call now. Folks, right now we're still at 0, and I'd love to call your name out as a first person. And we need to keep this baby going. And you hear that we're giving you valid information, competent information, worthwhile information. So please, if you've never given before, whatever you can, I talk about $10 a month or $5 a month. If you just want to give a little bit as well, please do whatever you can. But show us that what we're doing to you feel is in the right direction and the right way, that you really know that it's necessary what we're doing by calling 713-526-5738, extension number 1. I repeat, 713-526-5738. We don't have a call into to this yet, and I'd love to. I know you are out there, and I know you want to support. And sometimes you say, I want to listen to the program. I don't want to call right now. I'm going to ask you as we banter, to call right now. And I want to call you out right now and say, hey, thank you, because I know you're out there. I know there are many of you out there that see the value, understand what we're saying, and want to support what we're doing. So I'm going to go back to Johnny right now and say something important about this notion. Here it is. We have a tendency of looking down at a welfare recipient. We have a tendency to looking down at people that we call that these guys are living on the dole. We see this guy in the streets with the pants hanging and somehow they're getting some food stamps, and we look down at these people, right? And let me first tell you all, I value work. I believe in school we should learn the ethics of working. I from the from the time that I could work in Panama, I worked. When I came to the United States, I found a legal way to work. When I came on a visa where supposedly you couldn't work, etc. I did some things that made it possible for me to work. When I became a U.S. resident, I worked and I did everything. I swept floors, washed dishes while I was working towards my engineering degree. I did everything. I dug ditches. I sold fireworks. I cleaned sinks. I did everything. I believe in the ethics of work because, again, But I also believe in the ethics of getting paid what you are worth. WORTH, what you are worth. So we look at that person who is on welfare, and there are many, a large percentage, most that are on welfare that they need it. And it's not anything specifically of their fault. And we can go in socioeconomics some other time, but it's not necessarily their fault. But when we look at executives that those who capitalize companies, and let's look at Mitt Romney, because Mitch Romney is a person of stature, but he also is a person who was a principal in Bain's management group that capitalized companies, that went ahead and say, we can take money out of Toys R Us. In other words, we can take Toys R Us, fill Toys R Us, and by the way, corporations themselves are their own people. They classify as a person. That's how the laws are written. So what guys like Romney did with the Toys R Us, they go ahead and they say, look at that person, Toys R Us. They're making good money, enough to pay their employees. They're making all this stuff. That means they're a good credit risk. Of course, they never was, because they could pay their bills, but not something else. And then they go ahead and they throw a lot of loans. They say, okay, Toys R Us, borrow $100 million from Bank A, borrow $10 million from Bank B. And as we're doing our process at the end of the year, we can pay that money to the shareholders and give bonuses to the executives off of, for all practical purposes, borrowed money. And of course, that money has to be paid off in time. And when the employees now come and say, we want a raise, they say, oh, we can't afford to give you a raise. You are the one selling the toys. You are the one building the toys. You are the one doing all these things. But we can't afford to pay you because we have that big monthly payment that we need to make to the bank. And then you figure out, wait a minute, but we borrowed money. You took out the money we borrowed. You left the company in debt because that's how you capitalized it. And then the company has to go under. Now, I digress. Remember, we were talking about that welfare recipient, most of who need the welfare, but they concentrate on the ones that going to get you upset, that person working for nothing. Why is it you look at somebody like Mitt Romney with dignity, with honor? Why do you look at that executive who has taken not the pennies that you get for food stamps, not the pennies that you get for SDI or whatever it's called? You look down at those guys. They didn't work to make that stuff, man. I believe in work too. They didn't work. But then Mitt Romney, the executive who created these, who got money, who raided these companies, he who is a bastion of capitalism, he is revered. We look at all these other people who use other people's work, worth, and monies, and we revere them. You know why we do that? Because we were taught to do that. And you know why there's a KPFT? To inform you, to deprogram what we thought we knew about our economic system. And we don't do it in such by just calling it out. We do it by stepping you through the examples, that because we respect your intelligence, we respect your ability to think, but we understand that you can only know what you're privy to have been taught. And that's what we do here, my brothers and sisters. And that's what we have to continue to do. And that's why I ask you right now to give us a call at 713-526-5738, extension number 1. I'm still at 0, but I know you're going to make us whole. I know you're going to make us whole. Please call now. 713-526-5738. We have to keep our brothers and sisters informed and make sure folks know this stuff, man. Because what happens is what we're not taught this stuff. Johnny, continue before I ask Sandy to come back in and do a little pitching for me.
Egberto, do you remember a comedy TV show back in the 1990s called In Living Color?
Of course.
Yeah. There was one of my favorite skits of theirs. It was an on-running joke about this family who had such a work ethic The father had 3 jobs, the mother had 3 or 4 jobs, and their son was lazy because he had only 1 job or 2 jobs. And I remember my son on the aircraft where they're berating their kids. And I thought about that when you talked about that you worked from the time you could work at a youngest age in Panama, and you did this and you did that. I thought about that. And then you had to bring up Mitt Romney. You know how much I love Mitt Romney, right?
Right.
Mitt Romney, he is the antithesis of the American work ethic. But like you said, we are trained, we are socialized into viewing people who wear suit jackets and ties as not to be inspected, not to be corrected. We look always at the people that are at our level. They do that to us, and part of the mission of Pacifica and KPFT in particular is to help deprogram that. So the secret to that is reaching more people. So just like when we have fund drives where we appeal to all teachers, please, if you're a teacher, sign up with your fellow teachers to KPFT, or if you're a truck driver. Now I'm saying if you own a $60,000 pickup truck, you listen to KPFT, make a contribution to talk to Dr. Willis. All $60,000 truck owners, come on, fess up, help your country, because that's what you're doing. You're helping your country in the long run.
Thank you, my brother. You are, in fact, helping your country because we have to be aware. Look, before I go to Sandy, I want to say one other thing. Let me tell you that our current economic system is not sustainable. That's why you see all the income and wealth going one direction. That is a mathematical formula. The mathematical formula is a simple formula. If high income grow at 8, 10, 20%, and the low people income grow at 1 or 2%, that is unsustainable. That's a mathematical impossibility. Nobody says that. They just talk growth. You can't grow yourself out of that sort of a imbalance. But anyway, Sandy, how you doing, my brother?
Still drinking coffee, Lola Savannah coffee. Thank you, Egberto. Hey, we need to get off the schneid here this morning, folks. Our number is 713-526-5738. We're starting this final Monday of our winter marathon, and we're hoping for 4 solid days that will bring us to our goal of 150,000. It starts this morning. It starts with you right now. If you're looking for thank you gifts, we've got lots of them. And before I talk about how we treat shortages of money around Pacifica, because it's a reality, a present reality, not so much KPFT, but Pacifica, and we're part of that. Before I start talking about how that's handled, let me just mention a couple of the opportunities that you have as thank yous that will disappear at the end of the drive. We've got tickets to go see many, many artists, including Blackberry Smoke, Thursday, May 9th at the 713, Southern Culture on the Skids at the Continental Club. You know, Little Debbie, can I get you to wear that special outfit? And let's eat some snack crackers. They're coming April 12th, 1 pair. That's a Friday night show, $100 pledge. Paul Thorne Band will be at the Charles Bender Performing Arts. We have 1 pair remaining on Saturday, April 13th. Ruthie Foster, what an uplifting show that is. That's at the same place, Charles Bender, on July 27th. We've got 2 pair for a $120 pledge. Band of Heathens, 2 pairs left at the Do-Si-Do Big Barn. Show only a $100 pledge. You and a guest, $100 donation, you get in. If you want dinner and a show, the Box Tops are coming to the Do-Si-Do Big Barn April 13th. That's a $240 pledge. And I got a couple more, and then we'll stop talking about concert premiums. But you need to know, Big as Texas is a 3-day music festival at the Montgomery County Fairgrounds, May 10 to 12, with artists such as Thomas Rhett, Dirk Bentley, Billy Strings, Morgan Wade, Dwight Yoakam, Los Lobos, and dozens more. You can go see that 3-day event, you and a guest, for a $400 donation. Yes, it's a lot, but I got to tell you, it is worth every penny of that and more, as you will pay more money directly if you try to buy those tickets. So that's another premium. 1 pair left, Big as Texas Music Festival, a $400 donation. And the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, March 30th at the Arena Theater, 2 pairs of tickets available for a $150 donation. Now, you're talking about Vice Magazine and how they were able to pay their executive staff at the same time they're closing the doors. This is not uncommon. Here at Pacifica, and this is absolutely true, we faced actual shortfalls where it comes to making payroll. And there's an order in which things are doled out according to how much money there is. The managers, the senior staff all get paid last. That's Pacifica's backwards of what Egberto's talking about. We treat your money very carefully. Struggling to stay on the air all across the country, our 5 stations, KPFT included, relying on listener donations such as we're doing right now during this winter fund drive, and hoping that we collect enough money to pay, in KPFT's case, all the bills. We're not going to be, pardon the expression, deadbeats, unless you like Saturday.
That's your show.
Yes, we're not gonna walk away from our obligations to the people we owe money to, or to our listeners. We're listener sponsored, so take some self-responsibility, please, and let's get going on this Monday morning and get toward the $400 goal that management set for this show. I'm included in that, but not directly responsible for that. Even for my show, I receive a goal from our program coordinator and Robin Lewis, and we have to go meet that in order to fund the station. We got a lot of eyes, a lot of minds connected to this process, mostly on a non-paid volunteer basis because of the love that folks have for doing what they're doing. And I appreciate every single one of them. I appreciate everybody listening right now. Only William Gray, a little bit after midnight, has donated in all of today to Pacifica. It's 4 minutes to 7 o'clock, and no one yet has donated to Politics Done Right. Come on. Egberto got up early. He was prepared to go on the air. He's taking your phone calls. Pay it forward, please. 713-526-5738, option 1. I want to see a pledge come across, crack the ice on this Monday morning. Everything seems to be working. The tin cans or string are in fine form, thanks to Howard and Jack that come in early to make sure that we can proceed through our Monday and every other day of the week. Thank you guys for doing that. Now it's your turn. 713-526-5738. Join as a sustainer. Give us $5 a month or $10 a month or whatever it is that's your part. Some people go as high as $200 a month even. You know, with that, if you do $20 or more a month on a sustaining basis, you're going to get the coffee and the Caroline mug, the Caroline combo, which is a $120 pledge by itself. You're going to receive that plus whatever other thank you gift, including that list of tickets I just rattled off as well. So come on, join on in. 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. We cannot do this without you. You are part of this. We are community together. 713-526-5738, or kpft.org, Egberto.
Yeah, absolutely, folks. And don't forget, Coffee with Egberto. We are coming close to the time. I think we're going to be extended a little bit today. But a $250 Coffee with Egberto, I promise you a great time. And not only a great time, we get to talk all kind of stuff that you want to talk about. But for now, let's go ahead and get Brian in, who's been waiting for some time. Brian, good morning, hermano, my brother. Talk to me, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing fine, Brian. How are you doing, my friend? Was your weekend good?
Fine. Yes, it was
Good.
good. How about you?
Oh, good. Worked hard and enjoyed it all.
Yeah. I want to say thanks to Jack and Howard for doing the job that they're doing. It's free, so anybody should support this group.
I appreciate that, Brian. I really appreciate you urging others to contribute to the program as well. Brian is a contributor himself. Thank you so kindly. What else you want to tell me, Brian? You don't have something else to tell me, Brian?
Okay. Yeah. Did your father ever pick cotton for a living?
Oh, I know where you're
My
going.
father
No,
did.
sir. No, sir. My
Yeah,
father never picked cotton, but I know where you're going. Go ahead.
my father did. My
Okay.
mother shook corn, put herself through nursing school in Northwest Indiana. All
Uh-huh.
my aunts and uncles on my father's side, they pick cotton for a living.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they work themselves out of that job. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
to be stuck in the job that you hate. All right. And it's not a corporate large conspiracy theory type thing. There's a couple of multimillionaires that you fail to mention that's, buying up all types of farmland, and they contribute to the Democratic Party, just
Mm-hmm.
like the Republicans do.
Yeah.
We're all part of the machine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I agree with you there. I mean, I don't. When I talk about, actually, when you hear me hitting Romney or other these guys that take advantage of people, do you ever hear me say Republican or Democrat? I
Well,
don't think you
everybody
do.
knows that Mitt Romney is a no, you don't. But everybody knows that Romney is Republican,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think I've heard you talk about the. Let me see,
Well,
George Soros.
let me just refresh you because maybe you haven't heard. There is this guy, and not only a guy. This is this black billionaire that gave 400 medical scholarships, and everybody was praising big time. Didn't you hear me say that this guy was a gentrificator who goes in and while he's given 400 scholarship to black kids, he's destroying their parents' home. You heard me say that, So I mean, no, I'm saying, Brian, by you're listening to me enough that you can see that I am not just some party hack. I call a spade, and I think that's why you listen to the show because you know that as well.
Yes,
But
yes.
anyway, brother, let me go ahead and try to ask some more people to call in, and thank you so kindly for telling people to go ahead and contribute to the program. Appreciate you, Brian.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay, you too, man. All right, folks. Look, this is KPFT 90.1 FM Houston. Our call signs has to be talked as mentioned at the top of the hour. I think this is the first day of the fun drive for me. That in the first hour, I'm getting another 20 minutes or so to talk. I haven't made a penny. Are we gonna leave us politics done right here with a black eye? With a
No, no, no
I'm
black
so
eye for politics done right.
I'm so hurt. I feel so belittled. I feel
I
terrible.
I totally understand that because on my show on Friday, I had to
Hmm.
tell Tom, I said, Tom, I have an empty screen. I am so disappointed. And then some folks donated, but we can't let this valuable community resource starve. We can't let politics done right end with a zero today. Please, folks, 713-526-5738, extension 1, give generously to politics done right because right now we need it.
Yes, we do. We do. And look, and by the way, I prepare a full show, and I likewise I prepared a full show for you today. Many subjects other than what we're covered here. And I always tell you, you can go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter to get all the videos that I prepare. And I sometimes I wake up at 5 o'clock to do the program, right? But sometimes at 1:30, I'm still up making the videos for the program, making the videos and writing the blog for the program. Sometimes I'm up till 2. Last night I got 3 hours. And I'm not trying to be a martyr or anything like that. I'm trying to say that I put the respect into you all. Thank you so kindly, brother John. Thank you, John, for your contribution. I didn't get left with a zero. Thank you. Now we just
Hooray,
need four.
hooray.
Hooray! We just need three more like Brother John. Thank you, John. You saved me, Brother John. I appreciate you so kindly. But folks, last night I got 3 hours. I went to my wife like, what time did you get to bed last night? I'm like, I got to bed. I told her 1:30 because I didn't want to say 2 o'clock because she would have been in my skin if I said 2 o'clock in the morning because she knows like the alarm has to get off at 5 o'clock. And it's like, hey, um, but look, let me tell you what, no matter what I'm doing, it's because of the respect I have for the audience. I'm not going to come and snow you guys with crap, right? I'm not going to just come out here and wing it. I make sure that we have something that's gonna have value to you. I mean, and I think that's what we should do. You have to have respect for the people that are funding you, right? And notice we said, who are our funders? You are the people, not the corporations or the person trying to sell a drug that doesn't work, but the people, you. So I ask you to call 713-526-5738, extension number 1. When we spoke about what's happening with Vice, a very good news organization, it's the same thing that can happen here at KPFT, right? We could reach to a point where, and let me be honest with you, I can say this. I'm on the national board, so I can say this without any issues. Um, there were times that there were considerations when there was absolutely no money, right? We weren't getting enough, and there was more spending than we could bring in. That automation was on the table. Automation is what you hear Brother Howard complain about with what the major stations are doing right now, and that is it's all computerized and it just go on autopilot. Why don't you talk a little bit about that, Howard, if you hear?
Okay, I'm here. I worked for the big boys in town for a number of years, and I saw this automation coming in, and then suddenly there's out of town voice trackers. There's no live people in the studio. So it took away the local flavor of the station. When you got someone voice tracking from, say, Phoenix, Arizona, what do they know about Houston? Well, you can go on the internet and say, okay, well, here's what's going on in Houston right now, but it's not real. It's fake localism. And they do this all the time. All the big boys do it. Every one of those huge corporations that own radio stations in this town do it. I've seen it. So, and what separates KPFT from the big boys, first of all, is the diversity of music we have here and the diversity of programming. You may hear a talk show like Egberto's show. You may hear a music show that you really enjoy. So that separates us from them because they're all homogenous. Whatever their playlist is in Dallas, it's the same in Houston and same in New York. It's the same thing. You're going to get different programming here, but that programming is brought to you by a transmitter. And the transmitter is a very hungry entity. It it's humming along out there, and it's taking up electricity. It takes electricity to make a radio station. The studio here uses a lot of electricity, and we have our own computers too. That we have certain portions of the day that are automated, but it's not the whole thing. You can tune in and get local programming here. We know what's going on. So that's the big difference between the big boys in town who use out of town voice trackers with no connection to the market and us because we're local people. We come in
Hey,
every day. Yeah, go ahead.
Howard, we have somebody else to thank. We want to thank Rua from Friendswood, who is a new sustainer. Rua, that goes
Yay!
a long way. And she is also new. So thank you so kindly
Great.
for being a new sustainer at KPFT. And of course, John started to get rid of Egberto's embarrassment of having a big donut. I no longer have a look. Thank you guys. you would not imagine how important that is to the station. I play around when I say this, but it really is serious that we need your support, and we thank you for your support. We need we need another $240. You know what? If somebody calls in and says, I want to have coffee with Egberto, that's $250. I'm done for the day. Well, actually, I need to get more because I'm behind on some days, but still, if we can get somebody to call in with that $250 stuff, whatever you can call in for, we want another sustainer, another $5 sustainer, another $10 sustainer. That would be wonderful right now. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Again, that is 713-526-5738. Remember the story I told you about Vice, and I have a couple other stories that are very important that we are to cover today, and you can find that in politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Sandy, come on in, brother.
Thank you, Egberto. Thank you to Rua, and thank you to John for getting us started on this Monday morning. It's always a little bit terrifying when you look at the screen and it's 0 and we're got daylight cooking. I also want to thank James, who just chimed in, Egberto. So we're
Whoa.
moving along to your goal. That's really wonderful news. Thank you. 3 people now supporting Egberto and Politics Done Right and KPFT.
And it's new. It's a new person, man.
Yeah, 2 new members this morning, according to our software. I might be considered a new member from time to time from that software too. But hey, folks, new members, those of you that have never donated, seriously, why not? You're listening, you're enjoying, you're consuming this nourishment it's provided by your friends and neighbors. It's kind of like going to that neighborhood dinner. You show up, oh, I didn't know that you were supposed to bring something, but hey, let me grab that fork and plate in the corner and dig right in and, just socialize.
Tell the spork story. I love the spork story.
I know. We'll do that at bedtime when you're sleepy and we're checking in, Howard. But for right now, 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. With these pledges that have come in just in the last couple of minutes, we've crossed the $122,000 mark.
Yay!
150. That's going to be on Thursday night when we shut this down and go on to our birthday on Friday. KPFT will be 54 on Friday. And hey, sounding good, looking good. Come on, folks. Let's get to 54 and then let's get to 55 and let's pass this forward to future generations. Truth in media, honesty in media, your participation in media on this and other KPFT shows is possible. Where else is that possible to have these conversations, these candid conversations without the bias? You provide the information to this station through programs like this, You Talk and others, and Egberto simply just guides that conversation, hosts that conversation. We need you, folks. We need to make this goal and every goal. If we're going to wrap it up on Thursday with our little thermometer, as it does a little dance. It spurts over the top and the red mercury goes everywhere. That's only in a hypothetical software sense. We're not spilling anything on the ground that might be heavy metals or hazardous to folks. But what is hazardous is we don't make the goal and there's no KPFT. So
absolutely,
let's continue just person by person. James, Ruwa, John, William at midnight. Thank you so much for getting us started today. Back to you, Egberto.
And great. We covered Missouri City, Friendswood, and Houston. I love that. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Remember this, if you were here earlier and you heard the story we told about Vice News and what's happening to their news department. Why, and we talk about leverage buyouts. We talk about all these issues of substance. I know there are a lot of folks who heard that and are like, that's not difficult. Why didn't I know that before? And that's what we're here for. Support us, give us the ability to continue doing that. 713-526-5738, extension number 1 to contribute. We cannot, I repeat, we cannot do this without you. So please give us a call, 713-526-5738. 5738 extension 1, or go to kpft.org and select whatever option you want, $5 a month, $10 a month, some particular one fixed fee, whatever you want. Select the gift that you want. Please make sure to say that you're given in the name of Politics Done Right so that we'll be credited appropriately. But 713-526-5738, extension number 1. We cannot do it without you. And I know you want us here. I know you want us keeping on doing what we're doing, folks. And it's very, very important. The Vice story. You know, last night as I was reading and preparing, 1 o'clock in the morning, I said, you know what? This story is going to tie perfectly into what we are doing at Fund Drive because, and as much as I hate Fund Drive, Howard hates Fund Drive, Jack, Sandy, we all hate Fund Drive, but we have to do it so that we can continue being here on air. And when you see what has happened at Vice News, when you see what has happened there and you say, my God, we cannot, we must be there. We have got to be there. And the only way we can remain being there is if you keep us here. So I ask you so kindly once again, call now, 713-526-5738. Join John, James, and Rua. I'm telling you, you cannot know the gratitude that I feel, that I know all of us in the studio feel right now for those who are contributing to continue doing what we're doing. I know. Thank you so kindly. Another sustainer from Alfredo. Muchas gracias, hermano mío. Thank you so kindly for your contribution to Politics Done Right. Alberto know him, his cousin from Costa Rica. All right. Mi costarricense, ¿cómo está mi amigo? Muchas gracias. But folks, please give us a call. We are almost there. 713-526-5738. One more time, 713-526-5738. Costa Rica is right against Panama, you know, next to the provinces of Chiriquí and Bocas del Toro. And by the way, I love Costa Rica. I went there to Ojo de Agua, San Jose, and all these places to kind of break bread with my cousins out there in Costa Rica, including Limón, where we got some good food in Limón. I know you know your Limonga, Alfredo. Limón is really great, man. Good food in Limón. Anyway, folks, 713-526-5738. Let's get another. Let's close me out with another contribution, my brothers. Come on, my sisters. Come on. 713-526. We're going to go to Amy Goodman in a minute, but close me out well. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. By the way, we now have Missouri, Texas, Friendswood, Texas, Houston, Texas, and Spring, Texas. Love it. Let's keep it going. Let's get more. Houston is bigger, but let's get other places, man. 713-526-5738. Let me pass it real quickly to Howard and crew, and then we'll kind of start shutting down into Democracy Now!
I just want to know where Bel Air is. You got
Yes.
Missouri City. Where's Bel Air? You know, where's West University? Where are the other folks that need to support Politics Done Right? Folks, you got to do it. 713-526-5738. And we're going to throw it to Sandy here for just some closing comments from him. Sandy, take it away.
Thank you, Howard. You are just one $5 a month sustainer away from making the goal. And by the way, Alfredo is a sustainer. Thank you for that. And that's a big thing. Your pledge is going to be matched with a $50 bill. And that's a good thing. And Rua is also a sustainer. Again, a $50 bill gets put on your pledge by an anonymous, generous benefactor of KPFTs, as it does for each sustaining pledge. Also, Alfredo, Rua, your name is going in the hat. We're going to pick a name of the people that are signing up as sustainers this drive, and you're going to get the last pair, if you win the drawing, the last pair of Jesse, Dayton, Lyle Lovett tickets for April 20th. So thank you very much. We really appreciate that. $60 away from the overall goal. Come on, folks, we can do this together. Egberto, thank you so much for what you do. And good morning, everybody. It's Monday. Take it away.
All right,
Go ahead.
folks, I want to thank Sandy for helping out. I want to thank Howard and Jack. Great work as usual. To our listeners, love you all. You guys make us what we are. And to the callers, I have the best callers on the planet, the best chatters on the planet. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Come on, folks. Keep calling. Keep giving. We're done out here.
We now join Amy Goodman and Democracy Now! In Progress.
Describe being forced to eat animal feed.